Hey everybody, it's Michelle again, and I thought I'd do a different introduction, more of a background thing for you to understand who I am and why I'm even doing this. My name is Michelle Elaine Manning Carmichael Williamson. Manning is my maiden name, Carmichael is my son's last name. I was married to his father. We are divorced now, and my new husband's name is Williamson. I'm 43 years old this year. On January 26th, I turned 43, so I feel like I'm getting up there, but I'm doing pretty good for being 43. I'm still kind of young, too, so that's good, too. It's sort of like in the middle. But you know what I realized as I've gotten older, and pretty much since I hit my 40s, that the average person lives to be about 80 years, so I'm middle-aged. Yeah, I'm middle-aged. That's hard to believe, because middle-aged to me is a lot older. Well, it's just right around the corner by most people. But to me, being 40, it's older. Anyway, um, I was born on January 26th, 1967, so if you do your math, you'll see I'm correct at being 43, and my next birthday will be 44. I come from a broken home with a single mother. My father left us when I was 2, and I don't know him. I have never known him. And I think a large part of the reason why I'm plus size has to do with the fact that I tried to fill a void because he wasn't there. I needed something to feel like it was loving me, or that I had control of, or that made sense, and I guess food was the thing. As I was growing up and uh, a latchkey kid with my mother, I had to make my own meals, and that didn't help either. I was 9 when I started that, and I did not know how to cook. I still don't know how to cook, but I know not to eat 3 pizzas, little cardboard pizzas in a seating. So I've gotten a little wiser as I've gotten a little older. I was not always plus size. I think that I was probably my thinnest up until my second year, and then I started to be a chunky kid. And I've got pictures of me as a little girl plus size. And all my growing up, I never thought that looked strange or unusual or anything. But I have pictures of myself at 5 and 6 and 7, 8, being full figured at that age. And that is not healthy. I guess back then it was considered cute, and everybody just expected that it would eventually grow off, or I would get tall and it would stretch out, or I hadn't blossomed yet, so there was no reason for it to um, remain. But the sad part of it is that it did. It stayed with me. My family, for the most part, is largely plus size. My mom was plus size. My grandparents were both overweight to some degree, and several of my mom's siblings have been plus size. So it runs in my family. It may be genetic, and a large part of it is habit for me. I grew up uh, being criticized and ridiculed and made to feel ashamed about being plus size. Um, my mother had me on a diet since I was 9. I can't remember any time that I wasn't put on some sort of starvation diet, forced to eat one meal, starved for 2. I never got breakfast. I didn't have any money for lunch at school, so I got to eat dinner when I got home, and she regulated that. It was not the healthiest dinner ever, but it was food. So what my body would do was, because it starved for 2 meals, the one meal that it got, it would make sure I took in every calorie and didn't miss any of it, and that didn't help me either. That just perpetuated the thing. I also did not feel like I had very much support from my family, obviously not from my mother, who was also plus size, but more so hurt by my grandfather at one time, who made a statement to me where he said that he thought that I was a very pretty young lady. I was, well, I guess I was. I'm not ugly now by any measure of standard, I don't think. I'm just not the prettiest that I could be. But he said, "You sure are a pretty young lady, but you'd be a whole lot prettier if you lost some weight." That affected me. That affected me greatly. It told me that I wasn't good enough even where I was, and that I had to strive to be better for other people, and that what my opinion of myself didn't matter, that my striving had to reach the goals of others, and I struggled with self-esteem for a large part of my life. I have gained some because I've had a son, and I've had to be um, strong and uh, independent, and make sure that I gave him a sense that he had a worth no matter where he was with weight. He doesn't have any weight issues right now, and he's almost 16. He's a very handsome, young, thin man, and I prayed for that. So I was very blessed to get a child that didn't have to go through the same childhood that I had, where kids would tease me and make jokes and um, say horrible, awful things when I got on the bus about me, and criticize what I ate if I ate in front of them, or if I drank a soda or anything like that. As I grew up into young womanhood, I had never dated anybody because in those days being fat was a stigma, and um, being plus size was not in. And so I didn't have my first date till I was 21, and that affected me. So once I started actually having guys in my life, I perceived the relationship differently than I do now. Because I was so hungry for my father, I thought that all the guys that were paying attention to me liked me and wanted to be with me and loved me. I was starving for love from men, and I was self-medicating it with food. Um, when I became a mother, I changed a lot of the way I think because I didn't want my son to have to bear the burden of his mother's pain. I did not lose weight. I still, obviously, still self-medicate. Or it could be just the fact that my metabolism has just about shut down to the point that after all those years of dieting that it just doesn't work. I have to have extra help for that. When my son was 6, my husband at the time walked out on us, and I have not heard from him since. Um, that changed a lot. I plus sized up even more from that because then I really wasn't good enough, and I wasn't worthy, and I wondered what was wrong with me and why he would want to leave me for somebody else. He was married to me. We had a baby. We had a child. We were supposed to be together forever, and he just decided I wasn't good enough. So that just added to everything else that I'd already had going on. It wasn't cool. I had shortly after that, met a man that I fell in love with, got pregnant with him and miscarried the baby, and shortly after I miscarried the baby, he kicked my son and I out, and we ended up being homeless for 10 months. I got back on my feet, had some self-esteem, had a job, did the single parenting thing like my mother did, but I did it differently than the way my mom did. I was there for my son. I made sure my son knew that everything that he did that was worthy was approved, and those little bitty things that he did that wasn't, I still loved him, but he could change the behavior. In that time, when I was getting back on my feet, my mother passed away, and that set me back even more. She was the only parent I had, and I loved her. She was a very difficult woman to be with, but I loved her. And it took me 7 years to get over that. And again, I was self-medicating with food, and I plus-sized up even more. Amazingly, through it all, I met my current husband, who is the best thing that walked into my life since my son. And he took me, didn't matter if I was skinny or not, he loved me. He loved me just the way I was, and the way I am, and what I can possibly be. And I am very blessed, because that's not how it usually works in the real world. So he's a wonderful man. We both moved to, all three of us actually, moved to Oklahoma. He got a job at Dell, and we got insurance. In South Carolina, at the time, there was very little coverage for gastric bypass. It was out of pocket. And when we moved here to Oklahoma, one of the first things I wanted to know was whether or not the insurance that we got through Dell would cover gastric bypass, and it did. At the time, the doctor had to have the approval. You had to go through all these different steps and have like a year or 2 years worth of doctor's notes in order to be even considered for the surgery, and it would be denied a couple of times. Well, we lost the insurance because Craig got laid off, and it was a year, which recently just went by, where he got reemployed and got insurance again. Same insurance, same company with Aetna, and gastric bypass is certainly covered here in Oklahoma with this Aetna plan that we have. And Not only that, but gastric sleeve is now on the thing, and they have a whole new thing where you can go to the clinic and do everything in the clinic now on the insurance. So um, that's really good. So I just wanted to let you all know that that's the the in a nutshell the history of who I am and why I'm doing what I'm doing. I can go into more later, but I'm running out of time, so I need to get this uploaded. Y'all have a great day. Bye.